Yeah, and I'm going to tell you this also.
But the elimination of money, or at least the elimination of a fractional reserve system where we get rid of the people that can just print it.
I'm with that.
What Ron Paul is doing is an audit, and we need to get down to some real, let's get rid of money.
But that's a step, man. You know, the audit is a, hold on, man. The audit is a step because not everybody's informed like me and you.
Right.
You know, most people, again, can't tell me the 3 branches of government in this country, okay? They really can't tell you what the Federal Reserve does or the Federal Reserve Board, or they probably can't. Alan Greenspan's been so far out of it, people probably don't even know who he is anymore on the general public. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's a step to get people, you know, awakened to the fact that we don't need a fractional reserve banking system. I'm going to hold you over because I want to make a few more points about the film. Listen, again, the first half of that movie is amazing. But when you start getting into, you know, a one-world society, no matter how well-intentioned, that's the plan of the elites. And they're going to offer you, you know, a soft, happy new world order, one for the slave class that seems good, and then they're going to show you the mean, you know, very outward new world order as well. We'll be back after this. Now, I want to make one more point about Zeitgeist Addendum and then just kind of drop the subject altogether. Because, again, I do appreciate a lot. The first half of the movie explaining the Federal Reserve and the fractional reserve banking system is excellent. And I do really like the first one. I had Peter Joseph on my old program, Louder Than Words Radio, back in either 05 or 06 for a full hour. It was a great show. I invited him on this program for 2 hours. He refused to come on. You know, he doesn't want to come on my show. He referred to me and Alex as Beavis and Butthead. When we talked about Zeitgeist Addendum when it first came out. I was probably one of the first people to actually watch the film. I was waiting for it, you know what I mean? I watched it the first day it hit the internet. And I think the other thing that I really don't appreciate about it, and I think probably a lot of people are going to be shocked by this, my secular nature, and, you know, I'm not into religion, is the way that he attacks all religions and says that we need to get rid of all these religions. And I don't think that that's the answer either. You know, you talk about scarcity, but he also says that all these people have to drop their dogmas. And you're familiar with the final scene of the film, right, Mac?
Yes.
Where, you know, people are dropping their crosses.
Yes.
And people are dropping their crosses and dropping their yarmulkes and dropping their, you know, their Muslim headgear. Don't want to insult the Muslims.
You're so right about so many of the points that you're making. You're absolutely dead on.
And dude, and I want to get him on so we can have an open...
It's a movie that makes people think, and it's a movie that makes people think about money and what money truly is, and how we need to change it. One other point I wanted to make is you've got the people who have the mentality, and people our age need to look at Waco, but we have the people who have the mentality to do something like Waco, and now they have flying turrets controlled by Xboxes. The way to fight them, like you made the point earlier, is not going to be let's stand up and fight. We have to use another weapon against these people, and the weapon they've used against us for over 1,000 years is money.
Well, listen, I don't disagree. The way that they've been able to manipulate the monetary system is not a huge problem if it's not the number one issue. In fact, I really do think that probably is the number one issue. The way they've been able to work lobbyist dollars into Congress, you know, they've basically been able to make money the ruler of everything. You know, government and money used to be pretty separate. You know, everybody used to get equal time. Corporations couldn't donate as much as they can now. Lobbyists didn't even exist. You know, those were kind of formed in the 40s and 50s. And it's money that does fuel that. However,
and you can go back to the Central Bank of England a long time before that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I'm talking about in this country when it started to really get out of control with the military-industrial complex. Not that money has always been used to bribe people. You know, people are people. We have our issues. There's no one that's perfect out there. You know, you can succumb to temptation.
It systemically corrupts the system, though, is I think the point that Zeitgeist makes really well. Is that
let me say this, though.
At the very bottom of the system, we have a corruption.
But listen, man is corrupt, bro. Without money, there is always, and I want to make this last point, Mac. And I thank you for the call, brother. Someone is always going to want to bang your wife, okay? Somebody is always going to want the car that you drive. Someone's always going to say, I want those sneakers. You know what I mean? As long as we have a culture where we put value on different things, in other words, you know, fashion or video games or the type of movies you want to watch or the type of girlfriend you have, people are going to compete. And at one level, I do believe competition is good. It has people leap over each other. You know, that doesn't mean there isn't time to work together. I just think that it's pie in the sky. And when, you know, Alex talked to Peter Joseph and had him on the show, and he said, well, what happens if I don't want to do this? And he says, well, you'll have to be re-educated. Now, who decides who needs to be re-educated? And then who decides the curriculum? I have a big problem with that. And then on top of that, let me say this. You know, he acts like We need to drop all these religions. This is the first point that I was going to make. But if you look at it at the top, the elite have their own religion. You know, there's a reason that they're out in the Bohemian Grove doing the cremation of care ritual. There's a reason that some of these goofy guys get dressed up in druidic outfits and care about the summer and winter solstice. So at the top, at the core, remember, the elite are religious. So to say that religion itself is the enemy and that scarcity is the enemy, I think you really overlook some of man's, you know, I don't even know how to put it. Man's nature, I guess. The nature of man is, again, double-edged, just like anything. Empower or enslave. We can be good, we can be evil. And I think those two things exist. And that's something that Peter Joseph doesn't believe exists. You know, he'll tell you that there is abhorrent behavior, but there's no evil. I disagree. There is evil out there. You know, whether it's an abstract idea or not. You know, somebody who looks at a young boy and says, oh, this is really turning me on. I got a real sexual appetite for this kid. And then acts on it. That's an evil dude, man. I want to see that guy put in prison forever. There needs to be prisons. You know, there needs to be some kind of regulatory system. There needs to be some kind of order. Okay, I don't want to use the term, you know, New World Order or order out of chaos, but we do need some kind of rule of law and order. People will be out of control. We'll be back after this. It's the Info Warrior.